Good morning, afternoon, and or evening, fellow gamers. Today, I'll be going over the basics of Pirate 101. But before we get into the video, roll the intro! Now, this video will be split into sections so you can find the information that you want to know easier. The first section is explaining the difficulty, the second section is an explanation about the stats, third about classes, fourth is talking about epics, fifth is a section on powers, and sixth is about companions, and there is a summary at the end. Now, you can't choose the difficulty because it's an MMORPG, but the difficulty relies on how many people you play with. If you play 4 players, being the maximum amount of players you can play with, it's basically baby mode. And 3 players is easy mode, 2 players is medium mode, and 1 player is basically the hard difficulty you set after playing the game a couple times. And yes, 1 player mode is so difficult that completing every side quest and grinding does not mean you're over leveled. It would mean that you're under leveled, which is insane, but I'm not going to dwell too long on this topic, so let's just move on. On to talking about stats, and heart is health, the 2 blades are weapon power, fish shield is armor, swirly shield is magic resistance, target is accuracy, bouncy target is dodge, swirly potion is spell power, big brain meme is will, winged foot is agility, and the weight is strength. Health is how many attacks you can take before dying, weapon power is your overall damage output for most attacks, armor lowers damage taken from weapon power attacks, magic resistance lowers damage taken from magic attack, accuracy is your chance of hitting the opponent, dodge is your chance of dodging an attack, spell power dictates the damage magic attacks do, and that's all for the simple stats, and now it's time for the most important 3, being will, agility, and strength. Strength, agility, and will are the most important 3 stats because they both increase your crit chances on specific opponents and increase your attack damage, which shockingly enough is a good thing. But you only use one of these stats on the offense to dictate your crits, so you'd want to pick one to max out while the rest are there to see if the opponent lands their crit. Here's an example using these stats. Pirate 1 has high strength, medium agility, and low will, and Pirate 2 has high will, medium strength, and low agility. So Pirate 1 will get a moderate amount of crits on Pirate 2, since he has a medium amount of strength, but Pirate 2 will get a bunch of crits on Pirate 1, since he has a low will. Actually, since I'm mentioning the crits now, let me explain them. There are 3 kinds of crits: epic strikes, mega strikes, and super strikes, and all of these deal more damage than normal attack, and are guaranteed to hit, so they are pretty important to get in combat. And that's pretty much it for the explanation on the stats. And the crits, can't forget about that important thing, in which I will indeed bring up later, so don't forget about it. But now it's time for an explanation on the classes in the game. And the options are the Buccaneer or a Buck, a Swashbuckler or a Swash, a Privateer or a Privy, a Musketeer, which doesn't have a nickname sadly, and a Witch Doctor, or otherwise known as a Witch. Bucks are the tanks and bulky attackers, Swashes are the dodgy heavy hitters with low health, Privies are the healers and buffers, Musketeers are the technical, and Witch Doctors are the debuffer, with the potential to deal super high amounts of damage under specific circumstances. Another difference they have from one another is their crit stat setups. Bucks have high strength, medium agility, and low will, Swashes have high agility, medium strength, and low will, Privies have high will, medium strength, and low agility, Musketeers have high agility, medium will, and low strength, and Witches have high will, medium agility, and low strength, so you can use the right class against another to get the upper hand crit-wise, though it doesn't guarantee a victory. Now, usually these characters have epics limited to them, or they usually have most of the time, and you probably still don't know what an epic is, so I'll start explaining what they are. Epics are basically abilities you can use in the middle of the battle to get an extra hit on the opponent, or a stat boost under a specific circumstance, and there are a lot of epics, and here here are a quick explanation on most of them. But I need to mention that some epics have a required weapon, and these consist of 3 different weapon types being melee, ranged, and magic, which affects if some epics work. And now I'll explain these epics I'm talking about so much. Relentless, Burst Fire, and Mojo Echo have a 35% chance to get an extra hit off the opponent after an attack, which is a really good power. Blade Storm, Double Tap, and Mojo and get an extra hit if the opponent dies, or if the user gets a crit, which can also have the user attack another character if they are in range too, and this is a very good power. Cheap Shot, Parting Shot, and Coward Spin get an extra hit off the opponent when they move out of range if you're a melee companion, or if they run out of being 2 tiles away from a ranged or magic companion. And this epic sucks because you don't have an opponent's retreat that often. Riposte, Return Fire, and Counterspell get an extra hit if the user dodges an attack that is in the same weapon class as them, and this is a good epic for specific characters with high dodge stats. Vengeance Strike or V-Strike, True Grit, and Retribution get an extra hit if the user gets hit by an attack that's in the same weapon class as them, and this is very useful since you're going to be attacked by the same weapon class commonly. First Strike, Quick Draw, and Intuition as the user get an extra hit if they're about to be hit by an incoming attack of the same class, and this is a good epic for the same reasons as Vengeance Strike and the rest. Second Chance, Quick Adjust, and Jobu's Ruse has the user use an attack again if they miss an attack, which is an okay epic and you really only want to put it on companions that are really inaccurate. Flankings, Crossfire, and Doomspell has the user get an extra hit if the opponent is between 2 characters of the same team, which is clearly the worst epic in the game because of how situational it is. It's just really hard to pull off and you don't really get too much out of it. Hold Line is an epic restricted to Bucks and Privateers, and it halts opponents when they try to pass the user, and then the next turn they are able to pass, which is a good epic with the right setup. Witch Hunter is an epic restricted to witches and privates, and it gets them an extra hit off witches if they're about to be hit by a witch, and it functions like First Strike, Quick Draw, and Intuition, but more situational, therefore meaning it sucks. Pirate is an epic that can be taught, but some characters have, and it basically only applies in ship battles, where if a ship is boarded, it buffs you if you're on the opponent's ship, and it's situational, and you know what that means. It sucks. Turn the Tide is an epic mostly unique to Bucks, and it buffs the user's attacks that if they are at half HP or lower. Bucks naturally have these abilities and cannot be chosen to be on a companion or not, just like Pirate. Jump and Fly are pretty similar, so I'll do them both at once, and they allow the user to jump over holes or obstacles, and Fly makes characters hover over traps and can fly over holes, and it's rarely ever used, meaning it's situational, meaning it sucks. And the last of these epics I want to talk about is Elusive, and it works exactly like Tide, but makes the user become more dodgy and move more if they're at lower than half health, and like the ones prior, cannot be chosen and have to be naturally obtained. That's pretty much all the main epics you can have in the game, and some classes can't learn these epics, so you can teach them all to your pirates, since otherwise that'd be broken. The pirate learned these epics through their trainer, getting an item that grants an epic, or spending practice points to learn these from a secret trainer. The next big thing I'll be talking about is powers, which are super important since they buff you, guarantee a critical hit, apply debuffs, and much more different effects. Some powers are limited to only be used by a weapon class, like Brutal Charge, which can only be used if you use a melee weapon, but some can be used no matter what weapon is equipped, like Kraken's Might. That's all for powers, and that was brief since there isn't much to say besides that the power gets a boatload of them, and actually, since they get a boatload of them, you have to arrange them. If you hit P or go to the power section of your inventory, you can sort your powers, which serves no use until you have more than 7 powers, and if you do, those powers will appear randomly, but you can make some powers more likely to appear by moving them around. The smaller the number you move them to, the more likely they are to appear in battle, so move your best epics to the lowest numbers, while throwing the worst ones to the back. Also, you can right-click an epic in battle if you want to remove it from your 7-power roster, which is important if you're getting rid of weak or unuseful powers. So don't accidentally right-click epics. I've experienced the brutal pain and agony of this disastrous misfortune, and it isn't pretty. Now the last section is the companions, and you've probably seen them a lot in the footage so far, and they're very important in battle. They join you in battle, normally 3 of them appearing alongside you, though if there are multiple players, a smaller number of companions will appear, so the battle doesn't get too crowded. They're practically weaker versions of you that battle with you, but even though they may not have as many epics or powers as you, they can still slaughter opponents. Companions, like you, have powers and epics, and their powers cannot be changed, but their epics they have can. A companion you get would have one guaranteed unchangeable epic and a choice of 3 others, but if they're a storyline companion, they get a choice of 4 extra epics. A companion gets a chance to get new epics at levels 15, 35, and 55, and if they are a storyline companion, you'll get them with an extra epic to choose from, or they get 2 more epics in their promotion. And that's a transition to talk about promotions. Promotions are basically quests that appear when your companion gets to a specific level. Then they'll have a quest for you to do, and if you do the quest, you get new powers for that companion and 1 or 2 epics, and your companion gets a new look too. Getting an extra epic or power is super important, and some companions get a lot of promotions, mostly being the ones at the start of the game. Basically, in the early game, some companions have a small amount of powers, epics, and are overall just weak, but they can eventually get a boatload of powers and epics and become incredibly broken. Now let's quickly go on to the next thing I want to talk about these companions, being the epics they have. When your companion reaches level 15, 35, and 55, or they were just promoted, a lightning bolt will appear next to them. There you'd want to click on them, and then you're able to choose an epic from their epic pool. They usually have a choice from 5 epics, but privates and witches get a choice from 6, and the 6th one's always Witch Hunter, which, haha, get the pun, doesn't really change that much in the game. The epics they can choose from are super important because they may have the capability of chaining, which is incredible, or just suck since they can rarely get an extra hit. The Thunderbolt also has another meaning, and that is that every 4 levels, a companion can get a stat boost. That's everything the Thunderbolt indicates, and now I'm going to talk about how these companions appear in combat. You may know that you can order companions in which way you want them to join in combat by dragging them around, and if you did, you earned yourself a round of applause from a weird kid on the internet that won't actually clap because he doesn't want to. Anyways, your first companion and the next 2 are joining you in battle, so put your best companions there, and when one of the 3 companions die, it takes the 4th companions in the line to join you in battle, and then the 5th, and so on. Now, I said companions can die, which means they can't be used in battle for a certain amount of time, or you can still have them go into battles with their broken bones and injuries like a madman, and that would result in the companion having lowered health and a longer recovery time. And then if they die again in the field being injured, they'd get a longer recovery time and a larger health debuff. So just swap in a new companion and wait for the injured one to recover, or heal them up using Miracle Mitch. Actually, never mind. Don't spend your life savings on this mysterious monkey titled Miracle Mitch to heal up your companions. Unless if you want to lose all your money. Never knew this was America. Woo! An American health insurance joke that I don't get because I'm in middle school that I hear way too much of on the internet. Wait, pretty much all of my audience are from America. Therefore, I think no one found that joke funny. Well, if you found it funny or not, you can join my audience so I can see if you are from America or not by liking the video and then subbing to my channel where I try to post weekly Pirate 101 videos, and that was what you call a successful yet shameful plug. Back to the topic at hand, you're gonna have a roster of around 6 companions that you're gonna level up a lot using training tombs, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Training tombs gives your companions EXP, and you can buy these in taverns from a pelican who looks like this. Their prices vary depending on your level, since the game doesn't want the tombs to ever get super cheap, otherwise it'd be easy to get your companions to high levels. And your levels dictate the amount of EXP the tombs give, since at level 10 you have to give your companion a lot of training tombs to get them from 9 to 10, but if you're around level 55...
Captain, my heart is troubled. Well, what's left of it anyway? We should talk in a tavern cellar.
Overall, only level up the companions you absolutely need on your team, but not all the way, since it'd be a waste of tombs. And the last thing I want to talk about is a very useful thing, and it's sending your companions to do jobs. You may have a bunch of trash companions in your party that you'll know you'll never use, so you can make them do something rather than just sitting there, though they have to be level 7 to do these. You can make them do jobs at a cost of them not being able to join battles for a specific amount of time until they return from that job, obtaining an item item of interest. The first of the jobs is training, which gives your companions a small amount of EXP, so it's pretty much useless. And the next one is scavenging, which takes forever and gives you trashy gear, so that too sucks. You have sailing, which gives you a lot of nautical EXP, aka ship EXP, which takes years to level up, so this is a very good job. Oh yeah, quick apology for not covering anything in the nautical department, and that's because it's simple since all you need to do is mash 1, 2, and 4, and every once in a while you hit 3. Next is plundering, which gets you gold, making it a default option to choose since gold is a good thing. Last is pet wrangling, which gets pet gear and pets, and that's the thing you pretty much want to do post-game, since pets are pretty useless throughout the game since they require a lot of gold to be used and a lot of time too. I'd like to specify a bit about pets, but it's really complex, making it hard to explain to a new player. But if you really want to see a video on the whole pet thing, I'll link a guide in my description. Now back to focusing on jobs. Don't send all your companions to do the same job, since it takes longer if multiple companions are doing the same jobs, but still resulting with the same amount of rewards. So diversify what they do and don't make them do too much of the same things. And that's about it for the companions. And that's all the sections I really wanted to go over too. But I want to say a quick message before we go. Don't skip the dialogue, like this bit of dialogue, cause both of them may seem cheesy at the start, like me plugging my Twitter, and I'm planning to do some stuff on the Twitter soon, so there's an actually good reason to follow me, link in the description. But the purpose for you not to skip the dialogue is because it eventually gets super good and makes the character development fantastic during promotion quest and late game, plus the story is fantastic, and it's pretty entertaining at times. So skim the text if you're in a hurry, but still try to get invested in the characters and story, and hopefully this video is useful and makes you, the viewer, happy, and also roll the outro!